All right, so you guys are both working the system pretty good, and that's great. And so in another 2 to 4 weeks, you're gonna be done, and you're gonna start calling brokers for reals and networking for real and talking to investors for real. So it's gonna be really, really exciting as well. Let's go with Nori. How to make offers if your strike price is so low, right? Because you want to let them know that they're not penciling, right? But you don't want to say, well, my offer is this, my offer is that. And I think your related question maybe is to get off market deals. I only say that because they're both broker related, right? So how long have you been calling brokers, Nori?
It's been 2.5 weeks actually. Oh.
Yeah. Well, no one's going to give you off market deals after 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey, give me off market deals. No, you
I
gotta,
got I'm like, oh no, why aren't they giving me on market
no,
if
no, no,
all
no,
like listings? Okay.
no, no. I mean, right? Brokers are, they get calls from quote tire kickers all the time. And right now, you're still early on. What you need to do is you need to prove yourself as someone not being a tire kicker. And if you go through the module about building relationship with brokers, the more of those you do, the more often
Yeah.
the better it's going to be, right? So culminating in you actually meeting with them in person, even if you have to hop on a plane after you've identified, a short list of your best brokers and your short list of your best property managers, if to really accelerate the team building, go to the market in person. That's kind of the thing. But there's a lot of things you can do right now. And one of the things you can do right now is be responsive. So that's back to your initial question. If it's not penciling, try to figure out why it's not penciling. Like give them some reason that makes sense. Like just as basic as a 10-minute offer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 25% off, that means somehow that the cap rate is not right or their
That's
financials are off,
yeah.
right? So where can you nitpick their offer, right? So looking at every single at the beginning, spend a little more time on it. Look at the income. Like what really is the vacancy? Is it like only 5%? Can you really apply the 10-minute offer technique to the broker going, hey, I'm not even getting close to what you're asking, but I'm using different numbers than you are. Maybe let's see if we get the same page about those numbers. I mean, look at your income. You don't have any vacancies, right? You're basing your price on no vacancy. Well, that's not based on what my property manager is telling me. It's more like 10%. The expense ratio that you're putting in your thing is only 35%, but my guy's telling me it's 50, even 55%. Right. So I just want to make sure that I don't waste your time. You're not wasting my time. But where I'm coming in vastly different because my assumptions are totally different. I'm using these assumptions. You have this in the financials. So help me understand this. Help me understand your numbers. I told you my perspective. I assume that you have a property manager that you can reference. You're not making this stuff up, right? So there was another question I think Ruby asked, which is related to brokers, when to start talking to brokers. And the answer is you shouldn't talk to brokers until you have your team built and you know what you're talking about with analysis, right?
Right.
Because if you're calling them up and you're making these statements about your financials, you can't reference a property manager, you look like an idiot.
Right.
So you need that team behind you so that you can reference it, right? You can address that. And now the broker is taking you much more seriously, right? Because you've just poked holes in his financials. Now, maybe, he didn't do a lot of diligence on these numbers. And a lot of these brokers never sell a listing because they're always overpriced. They're like, oh, my listing expired. Whoa, me. Right. And a lot of it comes from the sellers. The sellers is top dollar price. And what I've noticed is the good brokers beat the snot out of the sellers. They know that the lower they can get the seller down in price, the more likely they're going to sell it and therefore get paid. The bad brokers are like, I will give you whatever you want. I'm going to sell this for $1 gazillion so I get the listing, and then they never sell it.
Right.
So I don't know what kind of brokers you're dealing with. It could be one of those unsophisticated variety, but this is also where, for example, creating a Loom video of your feedback is very useful. Hey man, I mean, I'm looking at these financials right now, and they're just not what my property manager is telling me at all. Like I'd like to make an offer, but right now, if you base our price on these financials, given this cap rate you told me, we're way off. So help me understand your numbers. And maybe I'm wrong. I probably not, since I'm working my property manager. And so it's this give and take a little bit. I think you have to be respectful with brokers, but a lot of them really don't know what the hell they're talking about. There will come a point when you become better with the numbers than the brokers, which, Dwayne, you're probably getting to that point, now. You have to be respectful for them, but that's just what I found. And a lot of it really comes from the sellers too. They'll get their financials from the sellers. The seller will leave a bunch of things off of their P&L, and the broker's like, oh, okay. You're like, well, where's the insurance on this thing? Where's the real estate tax?
Right.
Like, come on now, right? And you're gonna say, look, I can make an offer on this, but you and I both know once I actually get the financials and I do the due diligence, I'm gonna discover the actual truth. And I will have wasted my time and yours as well. So let's see if we can get on the same page. So Nori, it may be a conversation, like a respectful conversation around the financials you're getting and the cap rate that you're getting from that broker. It's the classic 10-minute offer conversation around NOI and cap rate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I sent out some of them. Like I sent out 4 of them, like say, in my experience, your financial says like expenses are 35%. In my experience in that area, it's always like it's 50%. So with that being said, I just sent it like the like instead of 6 million, like would the seller be with that computation on the cap rate of 6%, would the seller, or would you consider this price like that? I don't know. Like I just copied from the broker script that you had.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. And you can leave the conclusion. You have to say what the price is if it's so low. You can say just, look at the financials are off. If I apply the cap rate, I'm just getting I'm getting a price that's not in the ballpark of it's not congruent with the financials I'm getting in the cap rate. And you just leave it at that, right? You really financials and help her explain why their numbers are more accurate than the numbers and the guidelines you're getting from your property manager, who presumably, manages dozens of properties in the area, and the broker probably doesn't.
Yeah.
And if you can find some holes, now the 10-minute offer doesn't go that deep, but when you're building a relationship with a broker, you might say, hey, look at these financials. Like, look, you're kind of missing these numbers. Like, I just want to make sure that because they're never going to sell that property.
Right.
If they think their income is here, their expenses are way down here, and look at this NOI number. You're buying a business. You're buying a cash flow business, and businesses always sell as a multiple of EBITDA. That's exactly what a multifamily building is, right? So if you misstate the EBITDA, well, it's going to affect your valuation. And the good brokers understand it, and the bad ones, not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
Yeah.
Michael, what did you say if you misplaced the Utica? What did you say there? What word did you say?
The EBITDA, it stands for something. It basically is NOI for a business.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is a kind of a dumb word.
So let me ask you another question real quick. So if they have an assumable loan,
Yeah.
the OM has an assumable loan. They tell you it's assumable loan.
Yeah.
And their asking price is up here. So will you have to get another loan on top of that assumable loan? I guess that's
well, no, that depends, right? It depends. You're gonna have to model it, right? With typically, the problem with assumable loan, the good news about assumable loans is that the interest rate is lower.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
But based on when that loan was done, if the property has appreciated, which you have to look at the loan to value too, right? You have to see how much money do I have to bring. A lot of the times, the loan to value is pretty low. Well, let's say it's 50%. You have to come with a lot of equity to bridge the gap, right? Which reduces your returns, which is bad.
Right.
Now, one way you can get around that is by seeing if there's what's called a supplemental on that loan. Some loans allow you to do what's called a supplemental.
Right.
So you go back to the lender and say, hey, I want you to catch me up to whatever loan to value. Let's just say, for round numbers, that lender will allow loan to value up to 70%. But now it's currently at 50%. That supplemental will bring you up to 70%. You might have to pay a little point up front, and you're going to have to model that into the deal. You have to model everything in the deal. So the pros is that you get lower interest rate, which is good. The negatives could be that the loan to value could be low. So you can only bridge that with a either bringing more equity or a supplemental. You can't normally, well, the third one is to get a new loan, obviously, and then you get
Right,
the loan.
right, right.
The other problem with the assumable loans is the exit. Okay, so depending on what term you have left, you either have to put in a refinance. Let's say it's a 5-year hold, but the thing expires in 3 years. They're gonna have to put in a refinance in the model. That's pretty cool. But let's say there's 10 years left. I'll just make it up. 10 years left on the assumable loan. It's a 12-year loan, whatever. Right? You have to model what the sales price would be to a buyer using a regular loan.
Right.
So what I'm finding right now is that there are some assumo loans out there, but in our estimation, people are overpaying because the deal works now, but they're assuming that the buyer is going to get the same loan, but there's, let's say, only 2 years left in the loan. No buyer is going to buy it, or a year left. Okay. So in
Right.
other words, you start to, and this is a little tricky. So it's kind of advanced thing because you have to approximate what would a buyer pay for, right? So not only what is the cap rate going to be, but what is their cost of capital going to be at the same time? Because if I'm picking up an assume loan at 3.5%,
Right.
okay, I can't assume that my buyer 5 years from now is going to get a 3.5% loan.
Right, right.
So now the cap rate is going to be a bit of a difference, right? So typically cap rates and interest rates are linked to some degree, but what I'm saying is you have to think a little bit about the exit, a little bit more.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Now, typically, interest rates, if interest rates are lower, cap rates are lower as well. Okay, so that's fine. So they got a very low interest rate and a probably very low cap rate, 4% cap rate. Now that you're locking in that low interest loan, which is cool for you, but then the exit is going to be at a cap rate of higher. Let's say it's a
Right.
6% cap rate. That's going to reduce your price down, and that should accommodate a higher interest rate as well. So what I'm saying is, I don't think you need to make a lot of huge assumptions on the interest rate as long as you don't make the cap rate too aggressive. That's what I'm saying. So it's going to require a little extra thinking and spreadsheet work. I don't know if the SDA is necessarily set up out of the box to model a loan assumption because of all these variables I'm talking about. So it's a little more,
Right.
but you can probably pull it off, Dwayne.
Work it on.
With yourself,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be trying to.
Yeah, and then eventually when you get your mentor, obviously have
Right,
Yeah.
have your deal pod look at it as well.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good opportunity though. You just got to model it right. I just find some people going, oh, I'm getting a 3.5% loan. I can buy this deal as if I'm buying it at a 4 cap, which you're not.
Right,
The market is in a different spot right now.
right, right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. What else? Well, I mean, right now, you guys are still kind of focused on just getting deal certification done, and Nora, you've had some conversations with brokers. I think that's pretty cool.
Like trying really to, like network, talk to people, even though like just get out there to be more familiar talking to people about real estate. I'm trying to find like local associations that can that I can talk to, build relationship really for me to get comfortable talking to people. Yeah, that's what
I think that's an important point is networking. So to what degree have you decided that if you're more of a deal finder or a capital raiser? Dwayne, where do you fall in the spectrum?
So really I'm on the deal finder.
You're a more deal finder, okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, one of my partners is on the capital raiser.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm
We
kind
can-
of hybrid. I'm a kind of a
Yeah.
hybrid kind of person. I can lean either way. Yeah, well, yeah. I can find a deal and work the deal and put the numbers and all that. And I got people that I know that we can talk to that's waiting in the wings for us to be able to show them something. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's just.
But even for me, I can talk with strangers. I'm
Yeah,
a
she can
people's
talk.
purple. I'm a
Yeah,
people
she-
person.
She can.
I'll just say this, in one of my previous jobs, they would not allow me to stop being on the main call for a big company I worked for. The president, vice president, whoever it was, told me, no, Ruby have to be on that monthly call because she can collect that money. I can get that money. But the key word was what you said earlier to Nori. it's building a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, once you build the relationship and you're confident in what you know how to do, I don't care what it is, it's easier for people to trust you. You know, it is. Once the energy says it all. The energy that comes forth from you to them, it just speaks volumes. And I used to talk to presidents, vice presidents of small companies.
It doesn't
It
matter.
didn't matter.
She'll talk to anybody,
I talked to them, had good relationships with them, and I got that money.
right?
I got that money collected.
Get that money, girl, get
Got
that
the
money.
And I worked for an oil and gas company and they did valves. So we talking big money. We talking $500 million, million two, whatever. Because, you know, valves, we all enjoy valves, open and close where water and oil and all this stuff flows through. So yeah, I'm also either way.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. So it's good that you kind of know what role you're going to be playing. And Dwayne, in your case, you're right. You do have some contacts. Both you and Ruby have some capital raising contacts, and you're good with spreadsheets as well. And Nora, you're more of a deal finder. So in your networking, focus a little bit more on the capital raisers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't need another deal finder.
Right.
You need a capital raiser. Yeah. But like you said, you have a partner that's already done capital raising. So
Yeah.
Right.
But in general, it is good to get out of the house and
Yeah.
to make it a habit, right? Because you're just kind of you're the only crazy person around, and you know people call you kind of crazy, or they think it, and you think it. You listen to that too often. You're like, oh, maybe I'm kind of crazy. So surrounding yourself with other crazy people, I find I think it's very good to get out networking, because you will meet some interesting people that will move you forward. So getting especially local real estate meetups are key. Anytime, if you go to a conference, for example, what people don't do in conferences, that they might collect some bunch of cards, but they never do anything with it, right? So whenever you go to a conference, you know, don't push an agenda at the conference, just exchange information, and then set a Zoom call with every person you meet. Like every single person you meet, set a half-hour Zoom call, because you're always, you never know where it's going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's
being
good.
comfortable. Yeah, just being comfortable around people, I think, was the biggest takeaway yesterday when I joined the real estate. Like, I've been around people, but not real estate people. So yesterday was like, oh Lord, this is a different world. I'm in a different world already. Like people are talking something else.
What
So
did you
that's the-
attend? What did
so
you
I-
attend yesterday?
It's a Houston real estate investors association, so it's
Okay.
local Houston, really. So they just explained the market in Houston, or I
Nice.
mean Texas really, but it's more of residential, it's not
Yeah.
really on commercial. So at least I got to meet people. Like just talking what I do, and it like before you can connect with commercial, you just have to understand residential. That's what they're saying. But I'm like, yeah, as long as I have somebody to talk to right now. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, ugh, that's not, yeah.
No,
But I was
but yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. How many other real estate meetups are there in your area? Just one per month, or a whole bunch?
Lord, they got all kinds of
there
them.
is one per month, and they have like a 3-day training in September.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Well, what
then
I'm saying is, if you can find more than one, if you can just maybe go one a week, for example, and get into a pattern, that would be pretty cool. And then, well, don't forget networking in our Dealmaker Mastermind with other mentoring
yeah,
students.
yeah.
That might be even more fruitful.
Well,
But basically, what I'm saying is establish a pattern, discipline.
Let me speak to that, because I know Houston has theirs, Fort Bend has theirs, and they're in,
Sugarland has theirs.
there's different meetings happening like that. So yeah, you can attend all of them, and they're not distant, see, so you can get to each one of them. So
Yeah. And I've been, whoever I see, for example, in the Zoom, that I'm like, okay, let me connect with this person. So I just connect in the mastermind. So I've been in connect with another who just started also the certification. So and then Garrett at the end, he sent us people that we can connect to. So we're reaching out to them too. Yeah, I think that's it. Really is, I think, like really to work hard and just go out and make your hands dirty. That's that's really what I'm trying to do right now. Like at first I keep on repeating the videos of Michael Blank, like how do I do this one, like how do I get to the brokers? But until I tried to talk to them, I was nervous at first, but until I tried to talk like for 5 people a day, and then that's when I
Awesome.
I'm like
Awesome.
started to yeah
Wow.
I'm like whoever I saw with a listing, even though it's not Austin, I just asked them, do you take Austin too? Do you cover Austin? And then start a conversation from there.
Awesome.
That's outstanding. That's why we do the certification, is to make you do stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it gets easier with time. And so you talk to 5 or 10 brokers, it's the 11th one is a lot easier.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
you do 5 per day,
I just call 5 per day. Yep.
not 5 per week. 5
Not
per
5.
day.
5 per day.
Okay.
So, but sometimes they want to get back with you. You just at least
Okay.
you just tell them your spiel, like we're looking for this one, like that.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
Yep.
yeah, that's so good. Well, good work.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
Yeah,
by the
so
time we
we
meet
can-
again, by the time we meet
in
again,
January.
you all should be done with certification, and you should be able to have some fantastic stories to tell about brokers and investors and partners. So just the way you're building momentum, I really like that. So thank you for doing the good work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All
See you
right.
later.
God
Thank
bless.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.